What is going on? Welcome back to Jiu-Jitsu Outlet. I'm sitting down with Roy Koyama. You are actually the dad of one of my most fearsome training partners, Ty Koyama, who
Oh
kicks my
man.
butt pretty much every single time that we roll. So, man, I love having you on the show. I love seeing what you're doing with wrestling. And I really want to get into talking about what your vision is with these nonprofit wrestling tournaments that you're putting together to help get more people involved in wrestling. But first, before we get into all that, I want to ask you the same question that we ask every single person when they come on this show, which is, how has training in the martial arts impacted your mental health since you started training?
Man, that's a pretty deep question, really. And by the way, thanks for having me on your podcast. I appreciate that. I'm very grateful. Um, I started back, believe it or not, when I was 8 years old, and it was karate, and it was in some dude's garage. We're talking back when I had to ride my brontosaurus to school. Because it's Stone Ages, but yeah, I remember my mom signed me up, and I hit some classes, man. It was I was there for about a month, and then I got kicked square in the nuts, and I was like, I don't like this. This is not for me. and then and then fast forward to adulthood, I was bouncing, and one of my buddies, he was doing something called Jiu-Jitsu. This is back in like 95? No. Yeah, 95. So it was a while ago. And I'm like, what? Who? What? And he's like, you got to come try it out, dude. You used to wrestle. You got to come try it out. And we go to this place, this freaking warehouse in Van Nuys, California. And he's like, yeah, these guys are supposed to be like some of the best in the world, And I'm like, I don't know anything about this stuff, dude. He's like, yeah, their last name's Machado. I'm like, oh, okay. Still didn't know who the hell that was, They're like, yeah, they bring in people from all around the world. Anyways, I go there.
Some little punks.
What's that?
So some local punks you're gonna go beat up.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, I didn't know. I'm like, and I was pretty big back at the time, and I wanted to learn something for being a better bouncer, I guess, to protect myself. That's what he said I could do, and I used to wrestle. So I went there and I got wrapped into a pretzel a few times, tried to, muscle my way out of it. My elbows, my tendons, I overstretched my tendons. I was fighting so hard, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And so I'm like, yeah, that wasn't fun. And then I started training when I moved to Springfield, Missouri, because I was in California. Moved to Springfield, Missouri. Fast forward again. 2005, 2004, 2005 is when I moved out here. And I was training at the Springfield Fight Club when Rick, the founder, was actually running practices. And, I got into it, man. I loved it. And then, I'll own it. The fact that I can come up with some really good excuses to talk myself out of going, and get sidetracked and onto other projects and whatnot. So I'm pretty much a lifelong white belt, and I'll own that, like a badge of honor. But what got, the thing about the jiu-jitsu, it's not like wrestling, it's in my mind, it's like chess, like human physical chess. You're looking 3 moves ahead or even more, depending on your understanding and knowledge on the sport, or the art, I should say. And so that's what I really liked about it, is it wasn't just like, just raw, like wrestling, just I'm gonna freaking take your ass down and pin you. It's more thought out, but then also reactive as well, So that turned me onto it. And what I found when I was doing it was I found peace, inner peace, because I've had my things going in life to where I needed some outlets and I didn't have one, and then I started doing jiu-jitsu, and it calmed me down, man. It's like that soothe that inner beast, like, because you get to go strangle somebody tonight, or whatever. But and then I got out of it again, and what happened was had a thing go on with my daughter, and created some trauma in my life, and so I was in this state of, it wasn't a good state of mind. And what was really cool about it, Paul, is I'm like, what do I do? And the thing that came to mind was jiu-jitsu, because that's like therapy, So I went back in and started training pretty hard, and ended up doing some cage fights, yada yada yada. But it's martial arts in general. It has taught me more about respect. Like, if I saw my high school wrestling coach, I'm not going to say, hey, John, how's it going? I'm going to say, hey, coach, how's it going? And when I see higher ranking belts in the gym, at the training facility, there's sir all the time. I am not speaking to them by their first name. I just won't. It's almost, for me, it's just a traditional type of respect. And then there's more respect to where, most guys that you meet in jiu-jitsu, at least for me, in grappling, nicest guys on the world, on the planet, man. You would never know that they could just rip you in half, with ease, because it's just, what they do. But yeah, how it's changed my life really is it's turned me into a servant leader, man. Like I'm willing to do, help others, and know that I'm just doing it just to do it, man. Not trying to get any kind of reward or anything, but being around the jiu-jitsu players, it's a different world, different atmosphere, different mindset. A lot of these guys, they're the nicest guys ever, and they're also givers. They're servant leaders, So it's just in my experience, a very like-minded sport. You're not going to get people who are all squirrely and whatnot. Well, you can, but then they typically get weeded out or calmed down. But yeah, it's almost like a religion, man. Like it can ground you, but you got to be consistent. And that's,
Yeah.
I've been consistent. Don't get me wrong. I've stayed consistent for a while, a long length of time. But again, I'm really good at finding excuses. And what I could use one that's really good, because you'd appreciate, is one is focusing on my kids, making sure that they get what they need versus what I want. So that's why Ty's a killer, because like in 7th grade, he's like, Dad, I love wrestling. I want to keep doing this. I'm like, all right, man, I'm all in, dude. Let's go. And then that wrestling took him from, being a 2-time state champ for Greco and into a killer in the cage. And then in jiu-jitsu, it's ridiculous. Like, being a wrestler going into jiu-jitsu. Anyways, that was a long answer, but yeah, it's you can tell my passion.
No, I love it.
Yeah,
Man.
I need to get my ass back on the mats now. Thanks, Paul. Because I'm like, man.
Well, they're still waiting for you.
They are.
They're still waiting for you. That's one of the things that I tell people is like, especially people who have quit and or not quit or stopped training
Right.
for some
Took some
reason.
time off.
Is that the martial arts aren't going anywhere. They've been around for so long. They've been around for like as long as humans have been around. So they're not going anywhere, and they're still waiting for you if whenever you're ready to get back. But man, I just wanted to dwell on something a little bit longer, because I know that we talked about this a little bit on Facebook when we were first chatting. But could you take us a little bit through, like, when you're doing those cage fights and you were in kind of a darker spot of your life? Can you tell us a little bit more about, like, what was that experience like, and how did it help you off the mats? Like, how did cage fighting help you outside of the cage?
All right. So should I probably tell you the little substance of why I got into cage fighting? So my daughter was her mom internationally kidnapped her, took her to Costa Rica, right? My daughter. And super long story, so I won't get into that, but there were some pretty big accomplishments that I had to fulfill in order to have a chance to see her again, right? So that caused a lot of stress, because I had to, go to do like international court and all this stuff. And I didn't have, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I had to represent myself. So it was like grueling, right? Very, 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 very stressful. And, about as sad as it gets, for me, because it was my little baby girl. So anyways, what it did is put me in this really weird headspace. Like, just anybody say the wrong thing to me, please, so I can just take it all out on you, some poor innocent person that has no idea why the hell I'm so upset and like angry all the time, and again, I'm like, I need to get grounded because, I was just working out at the time, just lifting weights. And I'm like, I already know what I need to do, so I got back into jiu-jitsu. And I was really fortunate because I got into jiu-jitsu and I also married it with Muay Thai, because I happen to know a pretty good Muay Thai master around here. So it was just what I needed. It was like, it was really kind of like my medicine, and so doing that, it calmed me again. The beast was calm again. I didn't want to go out and murder people on the streets. Instead, I had a good training partner that I could do it to every night, and he liked it. So he's like, hey, cool, man. We're reciprocating here. And, that was tough. So I wanted to still get it out, wanted to get that beast. I wanted to let the beast loose is what I wanted to do, and now being back in the mats, being, training and whatnot, getting after it. Cause when you train hard, bro, you're sleeping good, your endorphins are being released. You're fucking hungry as it gets. So you're not missing any meals, and so I was getting healthier and healthier. And, my confidence, of course, was going up because of my skill levels and yada, yada, yada. But so I'm like, all right, it's time. So, I got booked into a cage fight and, I did pretty well. It was just the whole process. So like with my wrestlers, I tell them, listen, do not focus on winning and being at the top of the podium because you can't do that unless you put in the work. So focus on the work, fall in love with the process, getting to the top of the podium. That's just like, what do they call that? It's a byproduct. You win in the practice room. You don't win at the tournament. Because if you suck in the practice room, you don't have a chance at the tournament, So be competitive, and that's what I was doing with myself. So try to, improve by 1% every day. And every day at the end of the day during my training camp, which I've instilled in into my wrestlers as well as my own life now is, at the end of the day is like, have I done all I can do? And there's not one person on the planet, I think, in my own opinion, that can say yes. Bullshit. There's still more you can do. There's always more you can do, man. How many push-ups you do today? 100? Okay, do 105. Boom, better. Or you read how many pages or 100, read some more, five more, 10 more, it's just quantifiable where there's always something you can do. So now when I ask myself that question, which I already know it's rhetorical, is that now I get the privilege of writing down my next day, getting things planned out, and then making sure that maybe I add in a little bit more of a challenge for myself, just to feel like I did it. I got that 1% in today, but have I done all I can do? I don't think so, Right. So it's just, the whole cage fighting and everything. What that did for me is it gave me those tools, man. Because I always, for the longest time, would focus on the end result, which is never guaranteed. Never. But what's guaranteed is that I can fall in love with the process and enjoy that the whole way through, just knowing that what I'm doing is something I enjoy. I'm not made, I don't have to do it. I get to do it. And then at the end of like a training camp, there's a showcase based or an opportunity for me to test myself and showcase the skills. Because like, of course, I always thought I was going to win. I mean, you shouldn't be competing if you don't think that way. It's like, I'm going to lose, but I'm still going to do it. I like getting beat up. No, man, I was ready to go, and that time of my life when I was really pushing hard in competitive martial arts, it was very zen. It was like there was a different connection with me in the universe, if that makes any sense. Like, I remember I was going to the grocery store and I just took a sharp left into the parking lot, and I'm getting out of my car, and next thing you know, this big old hoss comes up on me. He's like, "Hey, motherfucker, you just cut me off," and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, "What?" And I look over and he's got this really beautiful orange Dodge Charger, I'm like, "Man, I didn't even see you in that big old orange thing. How am I going to see you?" He's like, "Come on, dude, let's go. I'll fucking kick your ass." And I'm like, "Man, I'm going to go inside and go grocery shopping, dog." I said, "I appreciate you, your passion and all that, but I'm going to go inside, go get some ice cream. Today's my cheat day. And, I hope you have a great day, because I'm not messing with you. I'm training right now, and I wouldn't want to do that to you. I just want to go inside and, let's just both enjoy our nights." And, that right there was like, whoa, that was almost like a superpower, like, dude, I just saved you a real bad ass whooping, I mean, yeah, he is a big dude, but that doesn't matter. It matters not at all, because if he has no skill, he's bummed, it's unfortunate, but, I wasn't being cocky or anything like that. I'm just like, you know what? I want to be nice to this guy because I have something that he doesn't know about. And I'm going to go inside and get my ice cream. Because I had a Taekwondo master, and he got super pissed at me because I walked in to the dojo with my gi on. He's like, "Take that off, go home, start over." I'm like, "What?" And he's always talked to us in Korean just to fuck with our heads, because like we were supposed to be able to understand what the fuck he's saying. So, yeah, I come back and I'm like, okay, so what's that all about? He's like, "Roy, you're already, a guy who looks a little intimidating." He's like, "When someone sees that you're a martial artist, they're going to want to test you, man. Someone out there is going to want to test you. So you got to keep it a secret, and you just pull that out when you need it." He's like, "You don't go around flashing it and telling everybody, 'Hey, I'm this, that. Oh, I know how to do this. Oh, here, let me see your arm. Let me do," He's like, "No, man." He's like, "You just chill out, stay calm, protect the ones you love if you have to, and do not, by all means, tell anybody what you're doing." He's like, "It should always be a secret. And the only people that should know about it are the ones who are the closest to you, so they can support you in it." And he's like, "Beyond that, nobody else on the planet needs to know, because there's dumb people out there that will want to challenge you to see if they can beat up a martial artist. And then they're going to be sorry about it, and you're going to go to jail." I was like, wow, I never thought about it like that, He's like, "You've got a weapon, man."
I love that perspective. Man, I love that perspective. I love how you tied it into with being able to de-escalate that situation, because you're totally right. Let me ask you this, because martial arts are kind of like knowing magic. What's the number one rule of being a magician?
Oh, don't tell your secrets, man. Yeah, don't tell your secrets. Yeah, man, because then you're no longer a magician, man. You're just a puppet, But yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, you expose yourself. It from what I've observed with other people who do, it doesn't work out well. I love you too. Oh,
Exactly.
Ty said, "What's up?"
What up, Ty? But, dude, so I wanted to ask you about that. That's an interesting segue right there. Little guest spot from Roy Koyama.
Yeah, yeah.
But
My little baby.
I wanted to ask, man, like, what have you seen with the kids that you've worked with, especially Ty and your own, the people that you're really close with? What have you seen in their lives as they've gotten into wrestling or as they've gotten into MMA or jiu-jitsu? How has it changed their lives as they've progressed with it?
Sure, sure. It's it's a trip, really, because like my oldest son, he dabbled, here and there, didn't get serious about it, which is cool, and then Ty, like I said, in seventh grade, did wrestling at the middle school and just smoked everybody, man. Like it was just like no big deal, and he'd never wrestled before, but he was coachable, naturally athletic, and so he's told me he's like, yeah, I want to keep wrestling. One of my buddies told me about this club, where they wrestle. I'm like, a club, I didn't know shit about it, and so here I'm getting introduced to USA Wrestling about 7 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, and I'm like, whatever, we'll go there and check it out. So we go there, and he's at the local high school here, and when I get there, man, the room's full of kids, and then there's one dude, and it was the coach and head coach. And so I told him who I was, blah blah blah, and we wanted to come check it out because of that kid over there. And he's like, yeah, sure, go for it. He's like, if you want to get on the mat, you can get on the mat. He's like, got any experience? A little, whatever. So I find out that this dude volunteers his time. He's like, yeah, I work my work schedule around it so that way I can be here for the kids. I'm like, are you? I'm like, what? I'm like, that's cool, man. I'm like, I dig that. And then so Ty's out there during this practice, and I'll never forget it, man. This little girl walks up and pulls on my shirt. I'm like, I look back. She's like, Coach, can you show me how to do a double leg takedown? I was like, I'm not a coach, but I mean, I can do my best, and right there I was hooked, man. I was like, this is super cool. And so, we signed Ty up, and I'm not talking about my oldest son, but he just didn't do any kind of really combat sports, as a hobby, or, got into it. He had other hobbies. So, but Ty, he just latched onto it, man. And, we, like, for me, I'm all in, right? When it comes to my kids, I'm all in. Like, I moved from California to Missouri to be a dad. I could still be out there surfing right now, at Malibu, having some fish tacos and chilling, but I wouldn't be a dad, and that's like, that was my role, was to, be their leader. So I moved out here, and, so when he said that, he's like, I'm all in. Or he's like, I want to join this club, blah, blah, blah. I went over to the coach. I'm like, hey, do you need any help? I'll volunteer. So he's like, yeah, I need help, man. Cause he was only one coach, so I'm like, all right, well, I'll help. Just tell me what to do. And, I basically just watched him, mirrored him, and did everything and said everything that he was doing. Seemed pretty easy, I mean, he's doing it, so I'll just do what he's doing and we're good, and, it ended up to where, we really got into it, man. Like, just really got into it. And I fell in love with it because of the mindset of the sport, a very common denominator mindset of, perseverance, because you're going to get your ass kicked. You're going to get your ass handed to you sometimes. And guess what? You got another match. You got maybe another 2 or 3 matches that day. So you can't get all up in your feelings, man. You got to be able to rebound from it and, focus, refocus, put the game face back on, let the beast out and go, and then there's other kids that, of course, haven't been taught that mindset. So they'll crack, they'll break, and then they're off in the corner crying. Which, I mean, hey, everybody's got to learn some way, right? But, yeah, so as we went through, he became a high school wrestler as well, and then his brother decided I'm going to jump in his sophomore year. So that's one thing I've got to give him accolades on is his sophomore year in high school, bro. That's when he jumped into wrestling to learn and to compete at his brother's level. And I'm like, fuck, dude, this is going to be rough, man, because, you're going against kids who have been wrestling since they're 5. And, and then, you just jumping into high school wrestling is kind of, challenging. Let's just put it that way. Well, he jumps in, fucking starts kicking ass, man. I'm like, Koyama blood, bro. It's like, yeah. He ended up actually my oldest. He won the Show Me State games. Have you heard of those? So
No, but if it's a tournament in the Midwest, I'm sure it's a tough
oh yeah,
wrestling tournament.
dude, yeah, all your state champs are showing up and badasses. But he won that, and Ty, wanted to get good. That's what he told me. And I used to do this thing called character ed, where I would go to his school and teach a lesson once a month on a character trait. And there was one time I went and the lesson was about goal setting. And I handed out these little, pieces of paper that had these little questions and whatnot. And he filled his out. Everybody filled theirs out. And I happened to peek at his. I'm like, oh, okay, yep. And then, class was over and I snagged his. And, it said, I want to be a better wrestler. And I want to wrestle D1. I want to go to the Olympics. I mean, he had some pretty lofty goals already. I was like, holy shit, man, this is where his mind's at. So I took that piece of paper, I folded it up and put it in my wallet. And his senior year in high school, I got it framed. That's how long I kept it. It was, yeah. So, but it was cool because, it was cool because what it did for him was it brought out his competitive spirit. It showed me certain qualities about him that were very rare. We did jiu-jitsu a little bit for a hot minute when they were younger, and we did a tournament. We all three did a tournament together, and he got hurt during a match. And I said, well, let's wrap it up, dude. He's like, no, let me just sit down here for a minute and I'll be fine. I'm like, hold on a second. Went over to the ref. I'm like, hey, it's up to you, dog. He just said he's going to be fine. He's like, he just needs a couple minutes for a breather. And the ref's like, sure. Yeah, let him. Yep. That's fine. Yep. I'm like, okay. He goes back out there and fucking gets after it again, man. I'm like, and he was just in tears, just squirting tears. And then the next thing you know, he's back on the mat. I'm like, okay, he's not a quitter, right there. That was like the thing. He is not a quitter, I'm like, all right, cool. And we would go to some tournaments where, I purposely put him in the open division when he was a novice, so we do novice one day and then open the next day, or flip flop, whichever one was. But he was going up against open, kids that have been wrestling their whole life and they're, whipped and chained and all that to be a good wrestler. Not whipped and chained, but and he's out there fucking going for it, man, getting his ass handed to him once in a while, but getting better and better and better every weekend. And we had this one kid that was our nemesis, so that was kind of our gauge on how better he was getting. Are you getting taken down as pin in 30 seconds? No, 45 today. Cool. And that was it. It wasn't like I failed today because I had lost and got pinned. My hand didn't get raised. It's I won today, but I didn't win, get my hand raised and all that. But I lasted 15 seconds longer than last time. So it showed me again another quality I truly believe that a true martial artist has is a stoic mentality. Not having that Epicurean instant gratification. If I don't get what I want right now, I'm gonna be upset and throw a fit and be a little bitch. Instead, he's like, I'm good. I'll get him next weekend.
Right.
So
yeah,
just
that Zen,
dude. It's crazy though. Like to see it at a young age, is for me at least very special because, I mean, you can look at some adults right now. I don't care what age they are. And they have that Epicurean, instant gratification mindset, man. And then they let their lives be run by emotions if they don't get what they want. And it's like, oh my gosh, man, my 12-year-old kid's more mature than you. So anyhow, they wrestled together in high school, which was super badass to have both my boys on the team together. And then I started high performance wrestling and athletics his freshman year, I think. Anyways, yeah, we did it as a travel team. So it was just me, Ty, Reese, who was my oldest son, and then a friend of ours, and we'd go travel around to these tournaments so that way they could, compete against way better opponents. And that's the way you get better, right? Because if you're going to get your ass handed to you in a big, show, it's make or break, man. And they wanted to keep going. So again, I'm all in. And, it was, it's funny because they made me look like, they made me look good. Like I was the best dad in the world. Cause literally like I would have people like that are in the, grappling family or wrestling or whatever, would come up to me and say, man, your kids are just great. They're so humble and just, respectful and, just what, man, you're doing a great job. I'm like, okay, I'm just throwing them in the room and letting them get after it. But, yeah, I think, I had some influence there, but, it's turned them into the type of people that you want to be around. If you had a daughter, it's the type of guy you want to be, dating your daughter, if you were in a fight, that's who you want standing next to you, and then, just if you're feeling down, they can see that. And my boys will come up and give you a hug. One of the things that I instilled into them at a very, very early age is you guys are brothers. You protect each other. You never separate. There's no fighting in between you guys. There's none of that bullshit because you never know when something can happen. And that's the last time you get to see that person. So we're always going to give each other hugs and we're always going to say, I love you before we leave each other. That's why Ty just said, I love you. Just that because he was leaving. So we just don't separate unless we've acknowledged, hey, I love you. Cool. I love you too. And that's all we need. Just that quick little bit of energy, but, yeah, it's been really cool because I had a dad come up to me and ask me, he's like, what did you do, Roy? What was your process, raising the boys? I said, well, why do you ask? Because I'm always curious why people are asking me certain things. So I'm going to ask them back, like, why the hell are you asking me this right now? And he's like, because, he's like, I want to be like you, dude. Like, I want my kids to grow up like that, like with that type of respect and character traits and integrity. And he just started going down this list. I'm like, what? Like, okay. Yeah, man. Like, well, here. And I started giving him recommendations on books I read and, things like that. Cause, it was a huge, who it was coming from too was just a huge, compliment. And, it wasn't the first time, so it's like, wow. Yeah. And I know it had to do with them being in sports because, well, wrestling primarily, but, because there's times when, man, you could be totally emotional because you've been training your ass off. Everything is on point. You think you've done everything you had to possibly do to go to the tournament to win, and you don't win. Heartbreak City. And we've had those moments too, because he's gone, so he's not gonna hear me because I don't need his head blowing up. But he's probably one of the best wrestlers in the country, like hands down. When he's focused, he's unstoppable. And his brother, if he would have stuck with it, I don't even know, dude. Like he's a big dude and he's good, but translation now is we would cross train. I'm just really blessed, Paul. I know a lot of gym owners around here, and I'm good buddies with Brett over at the Fight Club. With all those guys, they're all great guys. We consider them family, and so I worked something out with Brett where we cross train. So every morning I could bring my wrestlers over and cross train jiu-jitsu. And it was so cool because Brett loved it. He was like just tickled pink, man. He's like, yeah, I got a whole room full of wrestlers now, you know? And so he would actually gear some of the practice, if not all the practice, towards jiu-jitsu moves that 100% completely translated into wrestling. So what it was doing for the wrestlers was giving them some tools that their opponents did not have and did not know how to defend, you know? So we were just kicking everybody's ass. And then for the jiu-jitsu, when I'm bringing my wrestlers in, man, you already know, dog. It's fast. They'll come in, boom, takedown. Like, whoa, what just happened? You know, I just went, you know, like Tyson there, just taking down purple belt, whoop, you know, lifting them 5 feet up in the air and taking them down on the ground. Like, holy shit. Okay, we're starting on bottom. I'm starting my ass. I'm pulling guard from now on with this kid, you know. And it was immediately obvious that there was the next phase was MMA, because he's just, you know, in there having his way with everybody, like very experienced, you know, jiu-jitsu guys. Nothing, not taking anything away from them. Okay, we live, eat, and breathe grappling. Unlike a lot of other people, you know, I'm Coach Dad. That's what they call me, Coach Dad. And so, you know, I feel bad for him because there were probably times where I was more coach at home than I was dad, you know, but I mean, you know, we're only human. But yeah, so he, with Ty, it just, it's made him into who he is today. You know him personally, man. You know,
Yeah, man. He's a savage, and he's very helpful. Like you said, he's one of the most helpful people in the training room. Like, he'll kick your ass and then show you exactly what he did to do it. Just last time that we were sparring together, he showed me some really cool trick from the underhook that totally changed how I approach the having an underhook now. And it's just stuff I'd never even seen before. And this guy, I mean, Ty's what, 18, 19? You know what I mean? And yeah, 19, and I'm 32, and I've been grappling since I started when I was 19. So it's always very humbling to me because I see someone who is younger than me, but in mat time, we're the same age. If not, he's probably a little bit older if we're talking mat time, you know.
Did he show you the club dig? Yeah, I believe so. Isn't that crazy? You club and their arm just automatically goes up. It's like a button.
Oh no, it wasn't that. I'll have to see that the next time. But he showed me something where you get the underhook and you kind of hook down and then you circle into them and it puts a lot of pressure on the shoulder. And man, it screwed me up when he did it to me, and then I was really glad he showed it to me. But hey man, we gotta wrap this up here in a minute. But I wanted to ask you one more question. Got one more thing I wanted to really hear about, which is your new nonprofit to help people experience the same sort of transformation that your kids experienced when they were growing up. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and like what you guys are doing?
I can, and I'll talk as fast as I can. Yeah. So the entire organization was built around Ty. I built it around him, so that way he could have as many training partners as he wanted. That's like legit, dude.
Coach Dad for real. Coach Dad for real.
Hey man, he's like, I love the sport. I'm like, okay, I'm going to build an organization around you. You know, it kind of happened on just the universe out here, you know, because the team that I was assistant coaching on dissolved, was absorbed by another team that was charging them $80 a head. And there was a lot of kids that their parents couldn't afford that. So, you know, I'm like, I already have my travel team. So we just started ahead and I chartered with USA and we got going on that. So, and real quick too, just so you know, Ty is the very first one and only 13-year-old bronze certified USA wrestling coach back when he was 13. So that was like 6 years ago. One and only in the entire USA organization ever. So I built a junior coaching program around him too. Yeah, we're the only wrestling club and organization that has a USA junior wrestling coaching program because I invented it basically and built it around him. That's why he's so much more technical than anyone else you're going to meet because he was coaching as well. And when you coach, it sticks really hard. So anyways, this nonprofit, it's a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And I founded it in that manner so that way I could get donations, sponsorships, and all that and give people tax benefits. But moreover, I noticed that there's a huge gap in Springfield for the kids that, didn't have as much. They weren't privileged. They couldn't afford to even have lunch, let alone pay for $80 a month membership. So I started this thing, volunteered all my time, and didn't pay. I never got paid, and I'd never charged the kid a dime. So all the kids always got to come train for free. And, the good Lord delivered, and every facility that we used, we got for free. And I had about 150 kids at one point. We had kids coming from 11 different schools. And the school district claimed us as like a direct support system to the school district. So we got a lot of privileges that way. But here's what I'm doing is these tournaments with Combat Sports Productions is what I created, is a conduit to funnel money or raise funds for high performance wrestling and athletics. Because I'm done with the free everything. I'm still going to let the kids that are underprivileged train for free. They just have to fill out a scholarship form. So that way everything's on paper and I can do it the right way for the corporation to grow and scale. And so the goal is in the next 3 to 5 years, hopefully sooner than later, is to open a community sports complex that is focused on wrestling, grappling, submission grappling, athletics, strength conditioning, cardio, nutrition, and then also education. So I'm going to give you a real quick mental picture. So if you can imagine in your mind's eye, a huge building that is a big rectangle, okay, solid block, because I'm going to get it FEMA regulated. I'm going to get FEMA certified so I can get government grants. And you walk in, there'll be your reception area. To your left will be a commercial kitchen, because I'm going to teach the kids how to meal prep, because I'm a sports performance expert and coach. So teach them how to meal prep and all that stuff. We use it as a concession stand. To your right will be a learning center, because check out what we do every week, grade checks. So if the kids don't have good grades, if they're not passing a class or they're fucking up somewhere, you get to go to the learning center instead of practice. But you still have to show up. You got to show your team that you're part of the team, right? And do what everyone else is doing. And then go in, and then you'll have, I want 10 full-size mats. So, Paul, dude, we're going to have big, huge tournaments here, dude. Like, I'm going to, sublease it to jiu-jitsu guys, so we have jiu-jitsu, grappling, and all that stuff. Strength and conditioning, go upstairs, cardio area, and then on each side, there will be studio apartments with dorm rooms so we can have badass clinics and camps and all that stuff. So and there's a lot more to it, but I know we're running out of time. So, yeah, man. I told you I could talk forever, dude.
Yeah,
but
for real, man.
Oh yeah, just we're scratching the surface, really. But this thing is one of those deals where, with most companies, if the boss leaves, the company's done. So what I'm doing is I'm structuring this thing to where it doesn't matter where I'm at. I can drop dead tomorrow, and it's still going to run and it's going to hum like a machine, and it's going to do it for generations and generations and generations. So the goal is to put something here that's going to create generational ripple effects that are going to get kids in the same exact mindset. Go out there and be a servant leader. If you see someone who needs help, fucking go help them. Don't just stand there like everyone else and pull your phone out and record the shit. Go help them. Don't be an idiot. And, if someone needs help, I mean, you lend a hand. Have the right mindset. Don't expect things. Don't act entitled. And, have perseverance. You're never a loser. I've told this to several kids. Listen, when you come to the wrestling tournament, everybody has won. Okay, everybody's a winner. Everybody's first place. But who is more prepared that day? That's who's going to get the gold medal. The other one who's second prepared to get the silver. Third gets the bronze. So look at what they're doing. If you're not at the top, then you got to look at what the top's doing, and then try to mirror a little bit of that, and put in more work because you needed to, because you didn't give the top place. But it's never about, for me, it's never about the winning. It's about the effort.
Man.
How you behave during practice, when we show up to the tournament, when you compete, when you're done competing, and then on the way home.
Right.
Because I've heard some shit talking on the way home. I don't like that. Yeah. It's like, no, guys, come on. Every single part of this is supposed to be fun. If it's not, if there's any kind of pieces that aren't fun, fucking get out of here or figure out how to make it fun. Because, it's the last thing you want to do is burn out in wrestling because you're being pushed by somebody or there's undue pressure. I've seen kids crack because they felt like they let everybody down. And it's just like one of the saddest things in my heart. But when kids are crying, this is so fucked up, dude. I'm like, hey, I'm glad you're crying. Okay. But stop right now or go hide somewhere so no one has to see that shit. But I'm glad you're crying. And they're like, why, coach? It's because it means you give a shit. Because if you didn't give a shit, you wouldn't be crying. You'd be on your phone over there texting somebody or Instagram or whatever.
That's a good point.
So
that's a great point.
Yeah. Well, it just makes me happy that I've got a kid who's passionate, man. They're actually squirting tears in front of everybody. I'm like, hey, I love your passion. I'm so happy. I'm going to help you more now. But you need to go hide if you're going to cry. Because you got another match. And you don't want your other opponent saying, ha, 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 It's like, hey, if you want to squirt tears, cool, man. I love it. But don't be doing it in front of everybody.
Man.
So anyway.
What you're talking about reminds me of the quote by Miyamoto Musashi, the samurai, that he wrote in the book of Five Rings, where he says that when you see the way broadly, you'll see it in all things. Put into layman's terms means basically the way that you do one thing is the way that you do everything, just like they always say.
Right. So true. What was the name of that
book? The Book of Five Rings. It's written by one of the best samurai masters in the whole world, Miyamoto Musashi. But amazing book of the philosophy behind the martial arts. But I think you dig it. But man, that is freaking awesome. I've got a lot to talk to you about, like related to this. But I know that we're running short on time, so we'll just have to
do a series.
Yeah, we'll have to get you back for a part 2, like once this is a little further along, man. But let me ask you this. I know you've got a tournament coming up. Can you tell us a little bit more? Like, let's say there's someone listening and they want to sign their kids up for the wrestling tournament in Springfield that you have going on. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh, yeah.
Like, let us know the details.
Sure. Yeah, so we just closed out our first tournament ever, which was called the Queen City Triple Crown Nationals. And I'm trying to name everything that to where it kind of attaches and relates to the area. Queen City, if you didn't know, Springfield is called Queen City. That's its nickname. And then this next one coming up is called the Route 66 Folk Style Nationals. Now, if you're not familiar 100% with wrestling, folk style is the American style of wrestling. They don't do it in Europe, but we do it here in the United States. And then you got freestyle and Greco. But we're doing folk style because the folk style season is about to start. Middle school, high school, and USA. And with this tournament, registration, I think it's like $40 or $50. There's all ages from 8 all the way through high school, or actually you could be 7 years old all the way through high school. It's at the Fieldhouse Sports Center, which is over on Kingsley. I don't know the exact address, but Fieldhouse Sports Center. If you want to get more information on the tournament, you can go to our Facebook, which is Combat Sports Productions or High Performance Wrestling and Athletics. I'm always posting stuff there, or on Instagram, same thing. Our website address where you can find all the events and everything is combatsportsproductions.com. So you go on there and you can see the events, the calendar, news, all kinds of jazz. You can become a member of our team app, and then you get notifications every single time I put something new on the website. But yeah, it's going to be fun, man. Our last tournament, we had low numbers, but some of the best wrestlers around. So that's the thing is I've got, again, a blessing is I know a lot of people, and I was able to recruit, or not recruit, but just attract some ridiculous talent, for the first one. And I have been diligent about reaching out to each and every family. It's been a chore, but it's worth it. I get to do it, so I don't have to do it. And ask them, like, so you guys coming? Because there's another tournament called Super 32 the same weekend. but it's in North Carolina. I'm like, hey, you don't have to drive all the way to North Carolina, East Coast.
Yeah, that's far, man.
Right here in the Midwest. Man. You know, we're right here. Hey, bro, we had 13 different states show up for the first tournament.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's a lot, man.
Yeah, wrestlers from 15 different states. So I have a feeling it's going to be more because that first tournament was on Labor Day weekend. Everyone's like, dude, why Labor Day weekend? I said, because everyone's going to change their plans and come wrestle. That's just my optimism, you know. It's like, doesn't everybody want to wrestle? I mean, come on.
Yeah,
you know, you're going to change all your plans, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing, Paul. When you get into wrestling and you get to live the lifestyle, it's a different life, man. Like, it just a different understanding of how life is too. You know, we don't give up, we don't quit, we persevere, you know, no matter what. And we don't cry about losses because they're not losses, they're learning experiences. It's how I can get better. You know, nothing ever defines us as an athlete. One match, one tournament does not define who you are, but it gives you an opportunity. You know, that's what it does, period. You know, and I've been able to get that instilled in the wrestlers' minds that I work with. Man, they're golden, you know. They are freaking bullet. They're not throwing their headgear down and kicking their bags and, you know, they're just chill. They go over there, shake their opponent's hand, shake the ref's hand, shake the coach's hand, walk off the mat like just another day or another, you know, just business as usual, you know. So,
Man,
but yeah, the tournament's going to be a lot of fun.
Dude, well, hey, if you're listening to this and you're local to Springfield area, you want to come check it out and compete, I'll put all the links down below. Roy, when is the tournament? I totally forgot to ask you that.
Oh, yeah, it's true. And actually, it's a national tournament.
Oh, cool.
Folkestone National. So anybody from any state, all the way to Hawaii to Alaska to all on the East Coast, come on down. The price is right. It is on October 21st. So weigh-ins are Saturday, October 21st, and then we're going to wrestle on Sunday, October 22nd. If you want to come in and weigh in early, we have early opportunity at 12 p.m. at lunchtime from 12 to 1. It's $20 cash because we're doing you a favor, basically letting you weigh in early, or standard weigh-ins are Saturday night at 5 to 6 or Sunday morning, I think from 8 to 8:30. We do not believe in cutting weight. Because that's just that's another podcast, bro. But anyways, but we want everyone to come because we do everything we can to make sure everyone has the best experience possible. I even put together an itinerary of all the different businesses and restaurants and places to go while you're here in Springfield, so it's not all just about wrestling. Because we know and understand, because you know I've been in that position where I'm bringing the rest of my family too. You know, and they may not really want to watch Johnny wrestle again, you know, so we can go and, you know, do something else. And so I lay out a complete menu for them. And that way, you know, again, my goal is when people come here, they say, wow. And then when they leave, they say, that was a lot of fun. And now we'll bring them back, you know. Because it could always go the other way, and that's right. That's not conducive for wanting to build a thing. And my backstory, telling everybody why I'm doing this, man, it's their soul. I'm like, when you come and you help, you're helping me to get to that goal faster of helping all these kids for generations to come. It's not about me. It's never been about me. I don't even keep any of the money,
dude.
You know.
That's so cool. That's really inspiring, man. And we got a lot that we could talk about, but we're just going to have to do a part 2, my friend, because we are out of time. But hey, Roy, this has been so much fun. Thanks for coming on the show and talking about your journey.
Heck yeah.
And if you're listening to this, you want to follow what Roy's doing, go check out the links below. Give him a follow over on the gram or on the books. Facebook Monster.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Thank
you
so much.
Cool. You're a nice training partner too, yeah. No, thank you. I love how it all just kind of like, whoop, like, you know, came together.